Amy was 17, the quiet kind of girl who kept her head down, buried in books, invisible in a sea of chatter and clicks. She had an innocent face, a good figure, and a heart that beat too fast when anyone looked her way. She didn't have friends. Not really. She had grades, and those were the only things she trusted. This year, something shifted. A new boy joined her class. His name was Ryan. He was quiet, mysterious, rich, and devastatingly handsome. The kind of boy who made girls giggle in the hallways and whisper wild fantasies behind locker doors. But Ryan? He didn't glance at any of them. Not once. Except Amy had caught his gaze lingering on her. More than once. Prom night was coming up fast and everyone was pairing off. Ryan got flooded with proposals, notes, smiles, subtle touches, but none of them stuck. Amy didn't plan to ask anyone. She figured she'd stay home, maybe read a book, pretend it didn't matter, until Ryan stopped beside her locker one day and asked her to prom. She stared at him like he'd just grown wings. Her mind scrambled for logic, for meaning, for why. She didn't want to say yes. Something about him made her skin tighten and her breath catch in her chest. And before she could even think too hard, Daniel asked her too. Daniel, kind, familiar, safe. A boy from her class who smiled at her like she mattered. So Amy said yes to Daniel. That same night, in a quiet apartment across town, Daniel walked through his front door and froze. Ryan was already there, waiting, sitting on his couch like he belonged.
Hey, buddy. How did you get in?
Daniel asked, confused. Ryan smiled. It was cold, crooked, dangerous. Then he stood, walked over, and without warning, grabbed Daniel by the throat and lifted him into the air. Daniel choked, flailing. Panic sparked in his eyes.
What the hell? What are you doing?
Ryan's voice dropped, deep and quiet.
I'm not here to play games. You're going to cancel your date with Amy.
What?
Daniel gasped.
Are you insane?
Ryan's grip tightened.
I'm taking her to prom,
he said.
not you.
Daniel didn't have a choice. Not when Ryan looked at him like that. Not when his feet were dangling 2 inches off the floor. So he said yes. Of course he did. Prom night had arrived. Amy stood in front of her mirror, staring at the red short gown hanging on the back of her bedroom door. It shimmered just a little, catching the light like it knew how to hold attention. She didn't remember picking something so daring. But maybe a part of her had wanted to feel seen, for once. She slipped it on slowly. The fabric hugged her in places that made her blush. But she didn't change. Not tonight. When she stepped outside, Ryan was already waiting in his sleek black car. He got out as soon as he saw her. For a second, he just stood there, stunned. His eyes swept over her with a slow intensity that made Amy's stomach twist. He didn't say anything, but he didn't need to. That look said it all. Amy's gaze dropped, but not before she noticed his open shirt collar, the way the fabric stretched across his broad chest, the crisp black suit that hugged every inch of his frame like it had been tailored just for him. She hated how easily her eyes lingered. Ryan walked around and opened the passenger door for her. She climbed in. The ride was quiet, thick with words neither of them wanted to say. After a while, Ryan finally spoke.
If I'm not mistaken, your parents adopted you, didn't they?
Amy stiffened. Ryan continued, his voice low.
Do you know who your real parents are? Where they live?
Amy turned her face toward the window. Her voice came out flat.
I don't care. Whoever they were, they left me. The ones who raised me, they're my real parents. The rest, I hate them.
Silence filled the car again. Then Ryan pulled over and cut the engine. Amy blinked, confused.
Why are we stopping?
But before she could finish the thought, Ryan leaned in. Close. Closer than she was ready for. His breath hit her skin, warm, calm, dangerous.
Things aren't always what they seem.
He whispered.
Your real parents. They didn't abandon you. They've been waiting for you.
Amy's heart kicked in her chest. She stared at him.
I don't believe you. What proof do you have?
Ryan's eyes darkened, but not with anger. Something else. Sadness? Regret?
If you want proof,
He said softly.
come with me. Right now.
Amy hesitated. Her brain screamed no, but her heart didn't move. And finally, she nodded. All right, she said. Let's go. They drove toward the wealthier side of the city. The air changed as the houses grew bigger, gated, spaced out with long driveways and perfect lawns. Ryan pulled into one. Inside, the house was immaculate, cold, almost too perfect. A woman sat on a cream-colored couch, elegant, poised, older but beautiful in a regal way. Her eyes lit up the moment they landed on Amy.
Is this Clara?
Ryan nodded.
Yes, her true identity has been kept from her, but it's time.
Amy blinked.
Clara, what are you talking about?
The woman stood and stepped closer.
Clara, calm down. What we're about to say may shock you, but it's the truth. You are a Luna.
Amy stared at her blankly.
We're werewolves.
The woman continued.
You are the only daughter of our king and queen. Your mother, she was human. After she gave birth to you, she died. Your father never loved again. And one day, one of our enemies kidnapped you. We've spent 15 years searching.
Amy recoiled.
That's insane. There's no such thing as werewolves. Ryan, you brought me here for this? I want to leave.
She turned to go, but Ryan stepped in front of her, gently grabbing her wrist.
Now that you're here, why not listen? Just a little longer. Unless you're afraid of the truth.
His words stopped her. The woman nodded.
My name is Rita. I'm Ryan's mother and general of our pack. We were sent to find you. Your father, the Alpha. He's on his way now.
A tall man walked in, moments later. Commanding, shadowed, eyes full of something ancient and broken. Ryan stood straighter.
I found your daughter.
The man, Richard, looked at Amy like a ghost had just come back to life.
I thought I'd lost you forever.
He said quietly.
Your mother, she was human. I loved her more than anything. When she died, I fell apart. I drank. I hid. And in that moment of weakness, they took you.
Amy shook her head.
Number. That's not possible. If you're really werewolves, prove it.
Richard didn't flinch. His body shifted, arms lengthening, bones cracking, fur sprouting. It was over in seconds, and standing in front of her was a massive, towering, half-wolf creature. Amy stumbled back, and into Ryan, who was now a brown wolf. The room spun, the world tilted, and then Amy fainted. She woke up holding Ryan's hand. He was human again, sitting quietly by her side. When she stirred, she pulled her hand away, embarrassed.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
It's okay.
Ryan said gently.
It's a lot to take in.
I can't go back with you.
She whispered.
I was raised human. I don't belong in your world.
Ryan didn't argue, but he didn't step away either.
You're only 17.
He said.
When your powers awaken, your human life won't protect you. People will come after you, hurt you. I'll stay with you, for now, to protect you.
Amy didn't respond. But when they left together for prom, she didn't stop him from holding her hand. The prom hall shimmered with gold streamers, blinking lights, and the loud, hopeful pulse of pop music. Amy walked in, her fingers still warm from Ryan's hand. The gown clung to her hips, her hair brushed over one shoulder, and she tried not to think too hard about the strange, impossible truth she'd just lived through. Werewolves, royal bloodlines, real parents who weren't dead. It sounded like a fairy tale someone forgot to make sweet. But as she looked at Ryan beside her, the silence in his expression, the unspoken sadness behind his eyes, it didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt like something that had always been waiting for her. They walked through the doors together, and for a moment, everything else blurred. The music softened around them, and then they danced. Slow at first, unsure. Amy's fingers settled at his shoulders. Ryan's hands hovered for a breath before resting against her waist. They swayed together, closer than she'd ever allowed herself to be with anyone. Heartbeats whispered in the space between them. Amy didn't want to pull away. Not yet. Not when her body felt this calm, this steady. Like being near him made everything else disappear. But across the room, someone else watched. Daniel. His jaw clenched, his glass of punch untouched. And then he reached for something stronger. Drink after drink, rage replacing reason, until he couldn't take it anymore. He stormed across the dance floor, pushing past couples and laughter. Amy didn't see him coming until he grabbed her by the waist and yanked her against him.
What the hell are you doing?
Amy shouted, trying to pull back. Daniel didn't care. He pressed his face close to hers, lips tilted toward her mouth. And then, crack. A fist slammed into Daniel's jaw, and he stumbled back with a curse. Ryan stepped in front of Amy, his breathing steady, his eyes pure fire. Daniel blinked, shocked and dazed, holding his face. Amy, shaken, stepped behind Ryan, her hands trembling at his back. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Daniel, humiliated, furious, walked away without another word. The night didn't last much longer after that. Back at Amy's apartment, the silence was heavier than usual. Ryan parked out front and glanced at her, his brow tense.
You've been quiet,
he said gently. Amy blinked and looked around.
I didn't even realize we were home.
Ryan gave her a moment, then reached across and unbuckled her seatbelt.
Come on, let's get you inside.
Upstairs, Amy collapsed on her bed, still in her gown, the makeup starting to blur beneath her eyes. Ryan took the armchair by the window, watching her, watching over her. Minutes passed, then Amy sat up.
I can't sleep.
Ryan leaned forward, his elbows on his knees.
Want to talk?
She nodded.
You found me in this huge world. But how?
Ryan's voice was soft.
I knew your scent. From childhood clothes your real father kept. You're in your final year of school. Figuring out the rest wasn't that hard.
Amy tilted her head.
And once I come back to your world, your work is done?
He hesitated.
That was the plan.
Before she could press further, the doorbell rang. Amy frowned.
Who could it be at this hour?
Ryan stood quickly.
It could be danger. Let me check.
No,
Amy said.
it could be my parents.
She moved past him and opened the door. Daniel stood there, unsteady, angry. Before she could speak, he reached for her.
No one's here to stop us now.
He slurred.
Just you and me.
But then, he froze. A hand gripped the back of his neck, lifting him effortlessly. Ryan, eyes glowing, muscles tensed, fury radiating from every inch of him. Amy backed away, stunned. Daniel dangled in the air, legs kicking.
Put me down.
He choked. A neighbor's voice rang out from across the hall.
Stop, or I'm calling the police.
Ryan dropped Daniel instantly. Daniel crashed to the floor, scrambled up, and ran. Amy stood shaking in the middle of the room. Without thinking, she turned and buried herself in Ryan's chest. His arms closed around her, steady, unshaken. She felt his lips press against her forehead. Warm, safe, unspoken. Later, they sat across from each other, Amy on the bed, Ryan on the couch again, but his eyes never left her. Amy whispered,
Why do you keep looking at me like that?
Because
he said simply.
I want to protect you.
A pause. Then Amy asked,
Do you ever wish things were different? That you weren't a werewolf?
Ryan exhaled slowly.
Sometimes. But if I wasn't one, I wouldn't have found you.
Amy didn't say anything. Just then, Ryan's head jerked slightly, like something invisible had called to him. He closed his eyes. A second later, he whispered,
Amy, danger's coming. I need to stay here tonight.
Amy didn't argue. She just nodded. They lay in silence for a while, Amy on the bed, Ryan on the couch, but sleep didn't come. The storm inside her, of questions, doubts, and memories she didn't know she had, kept her wide awake. Finally, she sat up, brushing her hair back, her voice soft in the dark.
Ryan...
He turned his head toward her instantly.
Can't sleep?
No.
She hesitated.
Can we, talk?
He nodded and stood, crossing the room. When he sat beside her on the bed, she didn't move away. Amy glanced at him sideways.
You said my powers would come when the time is right. But why haven't they yet? Why did it take so long for anyone to find me?
Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then,
Because something or someone suppressed them. Your energy's still inside you, but it's sealed.
Amy frowned.
How do I fix that?
He looked at her, eyes solemn.
There's a way.
After school the next day, Amy climbed into Ryan's car. He didn't say much at first, just drove, calm and focused. The city blurred behind them as they headed toward the edge of the forest. She clutched her seatbelt a little tighter.
So, where are we going again?
She asked, trying to keep her voice steady.
To a place only the werewolves know.
Ryan replied.
A sacred ground. There's a stone there, one that can awaken a dormant wolf's power, but it only works under moonlight, and tonight's a full moon.
Amy swallowed.
And if it doesn't work?
Ryan looked at her, expression unreadable.
Then we try again next full moon, but if we wait too long.
He didn't finish. They parked at the edge of the woods. The trees looked ancient, tangled like stories no one dared to speak aloud. Amy stepped out of the car, eyeing the thick brush ahead.
We're walking?
Ryan gave her a wry smile.
The car can't climb trees, Amy.
They walked for a long time, long enough for the excitement to wear off and the exhaustion to set in. Amy finally plopped down on a mossy rock.
Okay, nope, I'm done. I can't walk another step.
Ryan crouched beside her.
I can carry you.
She narrowed her eyes.
Excuse me?
In my wolf form?
She blinked.
Seriously?
He smiled again.
You'll be safe. Just hold on.
Before she could say no, Ryan stepped back and changed. It was smoother this time. His body stretched, fur bursting across his skin, and then a large brown werewolf stood before her. Amy's breath caught. She took a step forward, and then another. Her fingers trembled as she touched his fur, softer than she expected.
Okay,
She whispered.
let's do this.
He picked her up easily, cradling her in his arms like she weighed nothing. Then, with a powerful leap, he bounded up a tree and began gliding from branch to branch. Wind rushed past them. Amy clung to him tighter. They soared above the ground over streams and rocks and glowing pockets of moonlight. Finally, they reached a river. Ryan stopped.
We're almost there.
He said, his voice a low rumble now.
Then let's go.
Amy whispered. He leapt, and in one breathless moment they flew over the water and landed on the other side. He set her down gently. In front of them stood a stone altar. At the top of it, carved into the shape of a howling wolf, sat a large gray stone, smooth and glowing faintly in the moonlight. Amy stepped closer, in awe.
What is this place?
Ryan shifted back to human, his chest heaving slightly.
This is the place we honor our ancestors. That stone, it's called the Heart of the Moon. When the full moonlight touches it, it activates dormant blood. Your blood.
Amy nodded slowly.
So I have to take it?
Yes,
Ryan said.
but carefully. And only when the moon is high.
They waited. Sitting beside the riverbank, the air cold and quiet around them. They talked about their childhoods. Amy listened to stories of his pack, of the mountains and forests where he grew up. Ryan didn't laugh much, but when he did, it felt like a secret he let only her hear. Eventually, Amy drifted off, her head falling against his shoulder. Ryan looked down at her. Strands of her hair had fallen across her cheek. Gently, he tucked them back, then paused, then lingered. His fingers brushed her skin. He leaned in, just slightly, and before he could stop it, her lips grazed his. A small, accidental kiss. A spark lit in his chest, then a flame. He pulled back quickly, standing, flustered. That wasn't supposed to happen. He'd promised himself he wouldn't get attached, that he was just here to protect her. But everything in him, everything wild and human, ached for her. When the moon finally reached its peak, he woke her. Amy rubbed her eyes.
Is it time?
Ryan nodded.
Come on, I'll lift you.
She climbed onto his back, heart pounding. He carried her up the altar, steady and strong. Amy reached for the stone and with some effort pulled it free, but her balance slipped. Ryan tried to catch her, but they both tumbled back, falling into the leaves and dirt below. They landed tangled together, eyes wide, breathless. Ryan cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. Amy didn't move. She didn't speak. She just closed her eyes. And when he kissed her, it wasn't accidental. It was full of heat and wonder and something far older than both of them. They stayed like that, tangled in moonlight, until Ryan's phone buzzed sharply between them. He pulled away, answering it. His face went serious.
We have to go,
he said.
The soldiers will wake soon. We've got the stone, but it's not safe here anymore.
Amy stood.
But the ritual...
We'll try again, next full moon.
He took her hand and together they ran, back across the river, back toward the safety of trees and night. Back toward whatever came next. The next morning, everything felt different. Amy stood in front of her bedroom mirror, holding the stone in her hand. Its surface was cool, pulsing faintly under her fingers, like it had a heartbeat of its own, like it knew who she was before she ever did. She'd hidden it in her wardrobe the night before, tucked it between sweaters and old textbooks, thinking it would be safe. Because with that stone came power, and with power came danger. She wasn't ready to be a Luna. She barely felt like a regular girl, let alone a daughter of werewolf royalty. But Ryan was right. Something inside her had started to shift. The air felt heavier, the silence louder. Like a ticking clock was counting down to something she didn't understand. She hadn't told her parents anything yet. Not about Ryan, not about the wolves, not about who she really was. Because some part of her still needed things to stay normal, at least a little while longer. That afternoon, the apartment door creaked open. Amy's mom, Mrs. Cyrus, walked in, grocery bag in hand, humming softly to herself. Amy looked up from the couch.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, sweetie.
Her mother's tone was calm. Too calm.
You okay? You've been quiet lately.
Amy hesitated.
Just tired. School.
Mrs. Cyrus nodded and began putting groceries away, her movements sharp and precise. Amy's eyes narrowed. Something about her felt off, like she was trying too hard to act casual. Later that night, Amy checked the wardrobe. The stone was still there. Safe. She let out a shaky breath and closed the door. The next morning started like any other, until it didn't. As she packed her bag for school, Amy felt a cold rush sweep through her chest. She opened the wardrobe again. The stone was gone. Her hands tore through the clothes, yanking them out one by one, checking every pocket, every corner, every shadow. Nothing.
No, no, no.
She whispered, heart pounding. A knock on the front door interrupted her panic. She opened it and froze. 3 men stood there. Strange, tall, unfamiliar, but she recognized the look in their eyes. Predators.
Clara,
One of them said, using a name she still wasn't used to.
we know what you took.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She stammered. Another man stepped forward, voice colder.
Don't lie. We followed your scent. You stole the stone.
Her pulse thundered in her ears.
I swear. It was here. I had it. But it's gone now.
The man didn't believe her. None of them did. One grabbed her by the arm, fingers tightening like iron. Amy gasped, struggling.
Let me go!
The man's grip moved to her neck. He lifted her effortlessly, her feet dangling off the ground.
I'll ask one more time.
He snarled.
Where is the stone?
Amy choked, vision blurring. Her lungs screamed for air. Then, a growl ripped through the hallway and the man froze. A blur of brown fur and fury tackled him backward, slamming him into the wall. It was Ryan. Amy dropped to the floor, coughing, eyes wide as he shielded her behind his body. The other men shifted, their human forms shattered like glass, replaced by snapping jaws and clawed limbs. Wolves. But Ryan didn't back down. He transformed in front of them, his body stretching, bones breaking, fur bursting through his skin. Amy watched in horror and awe as the fight began. Claws slashed, teeth snapped, growls echoed like thunder in the hallway. There were too many of them. And still, Ryan fought. He held them off, one by one, until their bodies lay broken or retreating. But he didn't leave untouched. Blood dripped down his arm. His ribs looked wrong, twisted. He dropped to one knee, panting, before slowly shifting back into human form. Amy rushed to him.
Ryan! Oh my God! Ryan!
He winced but managed a weak smile.
You okay?
She nodded, tears streaking her cheeks.
I thought this is my end.
Ryan's face darkened.
They would have, if I'd been even a minute later.
Amy looked at the mess around them. Broken furniture, splintered walls, claw marks scorched into the floor, and something inside her cracked.
I lost the stone,
She whispered.
Someone took it. It was right here, and now it's just gone.
Ryan blinked. Then, slowly, he said,
I didn't take it.
I know,
Amy said.
but I think my mom did.
Ryan looked at her, stunned.
My mom isn't who she says she is. She knows more than she lets on. She always has.
Amy's voice trembled.
She disappeared this morning. Her clothes, her keys, everything's gone.
Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said,
We have to find her, fast, before the next full moon.
Amy helped him to his feet, her hands steadying his weight. Together, they left the apartment behind. They drove to Richard's estate, where Ryan collapsed into a chair, barely conscious. The pack's healers rushed to him. Amy sat beside him, her fingers intertwined with his. When Richard walked in, she stood.
She took the stone,
Amy told him.
My adoptive mom. She's gone, and I think she's working against us.
Richard nodded grimly.
Then we have less time than we thought.
Amy looked back at Ryan, pale and bandaged, resting quietly. The one person who had always shown up when no one else did. She brushed his hair back, voice soft.
You didn't give up on me, so I'm not giving up on you.
Her heart already knew the truth. Even if she hadn't said it out loud, she loved him. And now, they had a war to win. The storm had passed, but the ache lingered. Ryan was asleep in one of Richard's guest rooms, his chest rising and falling in slow, shallow breaths, bandages wrapped across his ribs. A dark bruise shadowed the edge of his jaw. He hadn't stirred since the healers finished. Amy sat beside him, her hand gently holding his, her thumb tracing small circles over his knuckles. She'd never seen someone bleed for her before, never watched someone throw themselves into the fire just to keep her safe. It changed something inside her. She didn't know what to call it yet, but it felt a lot like love. That evening, Richard returned from another council meeting, his jaw tight. He glanced at Amy and nodded for her to follow him. Once in his study, he closed the door behind them and leaned against the fireplace mantel.
The other packs are angry,
He said.
They know about the stolen stone. They know you and Ryan were involved. They're demanding an answer.
Amy's stomach dropped.
We didn't mean to steal it. We were trying to awaken my powers. It was...
I know,
Richard interrupted gently.
but this isn't about intent. It's about power, control, reputation.
She exhaled slowly.
So what happens now?
Richard looked away for a beat, then back at her.
Patrick made an offer. He says if you marry his son Daniel, he'll convince the others to stand down, that your union will settle the unrest.
Amy blinked.
What?
It's a political match, Amy. Nothing more. A symbolic alliance.
No.
She said, her voice sharp.
I'm not doing that. I already told you. I care about Ryan.
Richard's expression shifted, just slightly.
I spoke with him.
He said.
Ryan told me. He doesn't want to marry you.
The words knocked the wind out of her.
What?
I asked him directly. He said you two aren't meant to be, that he doesn't see a future.
Amy stared at the floor, eyes burning. That didn't sound like Ryan. That didn't feel like him. But why would her father lie? The next day, she went looking for Ryan, but his bed was empty. The nurses said he'd gone out early, alone. Amy tried calling him, once, then again. On the third try, he picked up.
Hello?
Ryan,
She said, heart racing.
I need to ask you something.
A pause.
Go ahead.
My dad said you told him you didn't want to be with me, that you didn't love me.
More silence. Painful, stretching. Amy's voice cracked.
Is it true?
Ryan spoke quietly.
Amy, you and I are from different worlds. You're an alpha's daughter. I'm just a bodyguard.
She closed her eyes, fighting the tears.
So that's it?
She whispered.
I'm sorry.
He said.
This was never supposed to be anything more.
She hung up before he could say another word. That night, she agreed to attend Patrick's party. She didn't want to go, but she needed to see what this other life looked like, what her father had arranged for her. She wore a black dress, short, elegant, a dress Ryan hadn't seen, one he never would. When she stepped into the party, Daniel's eyes locked onto her.
Wow,
He breathed, handing her a glass of wine.
you look...
Amy forced a smile and took the drink. She didn't even like wine. But tonight, she didn't feel like being herself. She just wanted to feel something else. Daniel asked her to dance. She hesitated, then nodded. He pulled her close, closer than she wanted. His breath was hot against her neck. His hands slid lower than they should have. Amy flinched.
Stop.
She muttered. But Daniel didn't stop. He leaned in, kissing the curve of her throat.
Daniel,
She said, firmer this time.
stop.
He didn't. The wine buzzed through her veins, making everything fuzzy, slippery, her limbs heavy and slow. Daniel's grip tightened around her waist as he tried to guide her toward the stairs. Up her. Amy blinked, disoriented.
Where are we going?
She murmured. Daniel didn't answer. The music below pounded like a war drum. No one saw them slip away. In the guest room upstairs, Daniel laid her on the bed, murmuring something about how beautiful she was, how it was meant to be. Amy tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't listen. Then, a sound outside. A crash, shouting, roars, snarls. Daniel went to the window and went still.
Amy,
He hissed.
get up, now.
Amy blinked, dazed.
What's happening?
Before he could answer, the door burst open. Figures, twisted, monstrous, stepped into the room. Not wolves, not quite human either. Soldiers. They grabbed Daniel first, yanking him back as he screamed. Then they lifted Amy. She fought, weakly, her arms like water. Then darkness swallowed everything. Downstairs, the party had turned to chaos. People screamed. Furniture shattered. Blood hit the walls. But when the smoke cleared, Daniel and Amy were gone. On the wall, someone had scrawled a message in claw marks.
You left us no choice. Return the stone in 2 days, or they die.
The sun rose on a city that didn't know 2 teenagers were missing. Amy and Daniel lay on cold stone floors, bound and bruised, deep in the belly of an underground cavern. The air was damp, thick with musk and old blood. Chains clinked somewhere in the dark. Amy stirred first. Her head throbbed. Her wrists were raw. And as she slowly opened her eyes, all she could feel was the empty ache in her chest. Not fear, not anger, just heartbreak. Daniel shifted beside her, groaning.
They took the stone,
He muttered.
and now they want more.
Amy turned her head slowly.
You knew?
Daniel didn't meet her eyes.
I saw your mom take it. I followed her. She handed it off to me.
Amy blinked.
You took it?
I needed leverage.
He said, voice low.
I wanted to stop the wedding. I wanted you.
You took the one thing that could have kept me safe, and
She said, her voice trembling.
you started all of this.
Daniel didn't deny it. He just looked away. Amy pressed her forehead to the stone floor and closed her eyes. There was no use screaming, no use fighting. Not when her body was weak and her wolf still sleeping inside her. Somewhere far above them, life was moving forward, and someone, Ryan, would either come for her or he wouldn't. Meanwhile, Richard stood at the edge of the forest, the wind tugging at his coat. Behind him, the pack waited. Their faces were drawn, nervous. Patrick approached, jaw tight.
You know what they want.
Richard nodded. Patrick continued.
We have a chance to end this peacefully, to form an alliance that makes the soldiers back down.
You mean offering my daughter to the moon?
Richard said flatly.
Offer one to save many.
Patrick replied.
You know our laws.
Richard looked away. His daughter had already been stolen from him once. He couldn't lose her again, not like this.
I need time,
He said.
You have until nightfall.
In the healer's cabin, Ryan sat on the edge of the bed, arm wrapped in gauze, his face pale but alert. He hadn't slept. Not since they took Amy. He'd scoured the streets, the alleys, the forests. But she was gone. Vanished like smoke. When Richard entered, Ryan stood.
Any news?
Richard shook his head, then stepped closer.
I need to ask you something.
He said. Ryan waited.
If you had to choose Amy's life or your love, what would you pick?
Ryan didn't blink.
Her life. Always.
Richard looked at him for a long moment. Then he told him everything. About Patrick's deal, the political marriage, the ultimatum, and the lie.
I told Amy you didn't want her, because if she knew the truth, she'd never walk away. And if she didn't walk away, she'd die.
Ryan's jaw clenched.
You used me.
I protected her,
Richard snapped.
the way I failed to when she was a baby.
Ryan didn't answer, but his eyes turned hard.
If Amy dies,
He said.
no alliance will matter.
Back in the cavern, Amy had grown quieter. The stone walls blurred. Her heart beat faster than normal, thudding with a strange kind of heat. Something was happening inside her. Something was waking up. The guards didn't notice, too busy arguing, pacing, drinking. But Daniel did. He He looked at her warily.
Your eyes, they're glowing.
Amy didn't answer, because a voice was echoing inside her head now. Not words, feelings, power. It pulsed in her blood like a drum. The moment was coming, and she wouldn't be the same after. Above ground, Richard stood before the council.
I've made my decision,
He said.
I accept the marriage proposal.
The pack murmured in approval. Some looked relieved, others confused. Patrick smirked.
I'll inform my son.
But before he could walk away, Ryan stepped forward.
I won't let it happen,
He said. The pack turned to him. Patrick scoffed.
You have no say. You're not even blood.
Ryan's eyes flared.
I may not be blood, but I'm the one who bled for her.
Silence. Ryan turned to Richard.
You lied to her and asked me to lie. But I understand why. You wanted to protect her.
He took a step forward.
But if you think she'll survive a loveless marriage, if you think she'll thrive by being used as a political pawn, you don't know your daughter.
Richard opened his mouth, but no words came. Because deep down, he knew Ryan was right. Then Ryan said,
I'm going after her, with or without your permission.
Back in the cavern, Amy's body burned with fire. White light crackled at her fingertips. The chains around her wrists sizzled, then shattered. Daniel stared at her in awe.
Your powers.
Amy stood slowly, the glow in her eyes fierce and blinding.
I told you,
She whispered.
I wasn't ready before, but now
She looked at the guards.
they're going to wish they'd never touched me.
The soldiers never saw it coming. One moment, Amy was shackled, weak, cornered, caged. The next, she was radiant. Power bled from her skin in waves, white-hot energy that pulsed with the beat of something ancient, something primal. Her fingers sparked, her veins lit with silver light. She wasn't human anymore. She wasn't uncertain. She was Luna. The first soldier lunged. Amy didn't flinch. With a flick of her wrist, she sent him crashing against the wall. His body shattered into dust, a whisper of fur and ash. The others roared and charged, but it didn't matter. She moved like wind and thunder, striking faster than they could track. Claws met light, teeth met flame. Within seconds, every single one of them lay broken. Amy stood over them, panting, trembling with the force she could barely contain. Her eyes still glowed, but it wasn't fury that pulsed in her chest. It was grief. Grief for what had been done to her, for the lies, for the love she thought she'd lost. She turned slowly to Daniel, who had backed into the corner, his body shaking.
Amy,
He said, his voice small.
you're beautiful.
She didn't smile.
Do you know what it's like
She whispered.
to be lied to your whole life? To feel like everyone who claims to care about you wants something from you?
He didn't answer. She took a step forward.
I trusted you, and you stole from me. You tried to use me. You knew I was being forced into this marriage, and you said nothing.
Daniel swallowed hard.
I love you.
No,
She said softly.
you loved control.
Before he could blink, Amy struck the ground with the heel of her palm. The earth beneath him cracked wide, forming a cage of light that wrapped around him like chains.
Stay here.
She said.
Think about the kind of man you've become.
And then she walked out of the cavern. Free. Above ground, the packs had begun to gather for the engagement party. Richard stood near the center of the courtyard, stiff and grim in his ceremonial coat. He watched guests arrive, pack leaders, political allies, elders with silver eyes and judgmental expressions. He couldn't breathe. His daughter was still missing, and tonight he was expected to bless her arranged marriage. It was a farce, a betrayal. But he'd started it. Now he was trapped by it. Across the lawn, Patrick grinned beside his son. Daniel was late, but no one questioned it. No one had time, because just then, a wind swept through the courtyard. The torches flickered, the air went still, and a figure stepped out from the trees, barefoot, blood-stained, glowing from within. Amy. Her hair whipped in the wind, her eyes like starlight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Richard took a step forward.
Amy.
I know everything,
She said calmly.
I know about the marriage, the deal, the lie.
Patrick raised his hand.
You should be resting. You were taken.
I was,
She said.
and I freed myself. I don't need to be saved. Not by you, not by anyone.
Her eyes locked on her father.
I needed you to believe in me.
She said.
Instead, you bartered me like a pawn.
Richard's mouth opened, but no words came. Amy continued.
I'm not marrying Daniel. And if anyone tries to make me, I swear, I'll burn this pact to the ground.
The threat hung heavy in the air, and no one doubted she could do it. From the crowd, a figure broke through, running. Ryan. His shirt was torn, his jaw was bruised, but his eyes were wild with hope. He reached her, stopped just short of touching her.
I tried to find you.
He breathed.
I'm sorry. I never meant to lie.
I know,
She said.
it wasn't your lie. It was his.
She looked toward Richard, and this time he dropped his head. Ryan reached out slowly, gently.
Are you okay?
He asked. Amy nodded once.
I am now.
Then she looked at the crowd, her voice clear and steady.
My name is Clara, but I choose Amy. I am your Luna, and I choose my own path.
She turned to Ryan, her hand finding his, and together they walked away from the party. Not toward safety, but toward truth, toward whatever came next. Back inside the cavern, Daniel sat alone in the light cage. As moonlight streamed through a crack above, he stared at the place where Amy had once been, and for the first time, he realized he had never really loved her, only the idea of her. And that was gone now. The forest was breathing. Leaves shimmered silver under the moonlight, branches arching high above like cathedral ceilings. The air pulsed with tension. A low hum like the earth itself was holding its breath. Amy stood at the center of a small clearing, barefoot in the moss, eyes fixed on the sky. The full moon had risen, and something inside her knew. She could feel it, an invisible tide rising through her limbs, coiling beneath her skin like lightning waiting to be set free. Her heartbeat wasn't hers anymore. It was faster, wilder, syncing with something older than time. Ryan stood a few paces behind her, unmoving, watching. His chest ached. She looked ethereal, not just beautiful, but otherworldly. Her white gown moved in the wind like smoke, her hair shone like moon water, and her power. It crackled in the air around her, making every tree lean just slightly in her direction, like even nature was bowing to her awakening. Amy turned her face slightly toward him.
I can feel it.
She whispered.
It's starting.
Ryan nodded, but his throat was tight.
Are you scared?
Yes,
She said.
but not of the power. I'm scared I won't come back.
The breeze picked up, and Amy's hands trembled at her sides. She took a breath and stepped toward the stone altar, the same one she'd visited weeks ago. The heart of the moon lay glowing at the center, waiting. She picked it up, held it in both palms. The stone responded instantly, casting pale white light across her arms, climbing up to her shoulders, her neck, her face. Her knees buckled. Ryan lunged forward, caught her just before she collapsed. She looked up at him, panicked.
It hurts.
I know.
He said, his voice cracking.
You have to let it in.
No,
She whispered, squeezing her eyes shut.
I don't want to lose control.
You won't.
He said, resting his forehead against hers.
You're not alone.
And then it happened. Her back arched violently as her body convulsed. A scream ripped from her throat, not of pain but of breaking. shifting, becoming. Her fingers clawed into the dirt. Her eyes rolled back. White light poured from her chest, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Ryan backed away just in time to watch her rise into the air, surrounded by wind and flame and energy so raw it seared the grass beneath her feet. She hovered for a moment, and then her body snapped into transformation. Bones cracked, limbs twisted, fur erupted over her skin, white as fresh snow. Her eyes, still Amy's, glowed with gold light, fierce and ancient. She hit the ground hard on 4 legs. The white wolf, breathing, trembling, massive. Ryan fell to one knee, overwhelmed. He'd seen powerful wolves before. But this was something else. Then, her head jerked. Amy snarled low and guttural, eyes locking onto him. Ryan raised both hands slowly.
It's me. It's Ryan.
But she didn't respond. She was there, but also not. Her eyes burned too brightly. Her body tensed like she didn't recognize him, like she saw only threat, prey.
Amy,
He said, softer now.
you're okay. You're stronger than this. You're still in there.
She let out a growl, and then she lunged. Ryan dodged just in time, rolling across the ground.
Amy!
He shouted.
Stop!
But she couldn't. The power was too much. The transformation had overwhelmed her, and now she was losing control, just like her father had warned. She turned again, ready to strike. And Ryan didn't move. He just stood there, chest rising and falling.
If this is how I die,
He said, eyes on hers.
then let it be by your hands, but I won't fight you.
The white wolf froze, snarling, shaking, and then Amy's body began to slow. Her breathing changed, her eyes flickered, just for a second, back to something human. Ryan took a step forward.
You're not a monster. You're the girl who walked barefoot in the forest, who danced at prom with me, who saved me even when I didn't deserve it.
Amy whimpered. Her body trembled.
I love you.
He said, voice raw.
That hasn't changed. That never will.
The light around her began to soften. Her fur receded, her limbs bent and reshaped, until there, collapsed in the clearing, bare and weeping, was Amy. Ryan rushed to her, grabbing his jacket and wrapping it around her trembling shoulders. She looked up at him, her cheeks soaked, eyes wide.
I almost hurt you.
You didn't.
He whispered.
You came back.
I could have finished you.
But you didn't.
Amy sobbed against his chest, clutching him like he was the only solid thing left in the world, because in that moment, he was. Later that night, as the moon began to fade, Ryan carried her back through the woods, wrapped in his coat, her head resting against his chest. She had survived the storm, and he had stayed through it, which meant something was different now. Something was stronger than fear, than fury, than even fate. It was love. Wild, untamed, and theirs. The silence before war is never truly quiet. It's the way conversations stop when you enter the room, the way eyes linger too long, scanning for weakness, the way once loyal voices begin to tremble when they speak your name. Amy felt it, everywhere. Not everyone in the pack trusted her. Not everyone believed in her rise. And though no one dared challenge her outright, the doubt crackled beneath the surface like dry leaves before a spark. The pack was dividing, and she could feel the fault lines growing. In the council chambers, Richard slammed his hand against the table.
We cannot ignore this. 2 of the Eastern Alphas have already withdrawn their scouts. They're consolidating forces. They're preparing for war.
Patrick leaned back in his seat, unimpressed.
You should have made the girl marry my son when you had the chance.
Richard's lip curled.
And what? Bind her power to someone who betrayed her? Reduce a Luna to a bargaining chip?
Patrick snorted.
You act like this isn't all her fault.
She's not the threat.
Ryan said, stepping forward.
She's the reason we still have a chance.
Patrick stood.
The only reason we're standing at all is because she hasn't decided to tear down these walls.
Ryan stepped in close.
Say that again.
Patrick's mouth opened, but Richard held up a hand.
Enough.
The room quieted. Richard looked at his daughter, standing tall in the moonlight that filtered through the stained glass windows.
Amy, the council demands clarity. You were born of royal blood. You've awakened as Luna. The time has come to make it known where your loyalty lies.
Amy met his eyes without flinching.
My loyalty lies with the pack, but I won't lead a divided one.
She turned to face them all.
I won't be your symbol if you only want to use me. I won't be your Luna if you don't want change. But if you stand beside me, not above me, not behind me, I'll fight for you. I'll protect you. I'll bleed for you.
A ripple passed through the room. Some nodded, some didn't. But none could deny her presence, the power she carried, the fire in her voice. Still, Amy's chest tightened, not from fear, but from something she hadn't admitted out loud yet. Doubt. And the deep ache of loneliness only leadership seemed to know. Later that night, she stood by the riverbank again, where the moon painted silver across the water, and everything felt a little more real. Ryan approached quietly.
Rough day?
He asked gently. She gave a soft laugh.
You could say that.
Want to run away?
Every 5 minutes?
He sat beside her, letting the silence stretch a little before he spoke again.
I've been thinking,
he said.
There's something I need to say, and I don't want it to be in battle or in a moment where everything is on fire.
She turned to him, cautious.
Ryan.
He held her gaze.
I don't want to be just your protector. I don't want to be the guy who watched you become something incredible from the sidelines.
Amy swallowed hard.
I want to be beside you all the way, whatever comes.
She blinked, tears stinging her eyes.
That sounds dangerously close to an oath.
He smiled.
That's because it is.
She leaned into him, forehead to his. And in that quiet, moon-washed moment, they made their vow. No crown, no bloodline, no war would ever come between them. Not again. Amy took his hand, fingers weaving with his.
I vow the same,
she whispered.
Whatever comes, you and me.
Side by side, he pressed a kiss to her temple. The air around them shimmered faintly, as if the universe itself had heard them and sealed it. Far across the ridge, in the shadows of the forgotten hills, the rogue wolves gathered. They had felt it too, the bond, the power, the unity, and they knew. The girl wasn't just awakened. She was claimed, which meant she was no longer alone. And a Luna with love was a Luna who would never fall easily. It started with a whisper. A scout, out of breath, blood dripping from his sleeve. He stumbled into the council chambers just before dawn, his eyes wide, voice raw.
They're here,
he gasped.
coming from the northern ridge. 30, maybe 40, all rogue.
The room exploded into motion. Wolves shifted, armor was fetched, orders shouted, but Amy didn't move. She stood perfectly still at the center of the room, her hands clenched at her sides, her mind already racing. She'd known this day was coming. She'd felt it, like pressure building behind her ribs. Now it had finally broken loose. Ryan was beside her in an instant.
Say the word,
he said.
We stand.
Amy looked at Richard.
Call the warriors.
He nodded grimly.
No one fights alone,
she said.
We go together.
By mid-morning, the front gates of the estate were fortified. Wolves in human and hybrid forms lined the perimeter. Archers perched along the high walls. The forest rustled in the distance, still hiding the coming bloodshed. Amy stood in the watchtower scanning the horizon. And then they appeared, like shadows pouring from the trees. Silent, fast, dozens of them. Muscles coiled, eyes gleaming with hatred and hunger. Rogues. She could feel their leader among them. A deep pulse. Familiar. Wrong. Ryan stepped beside her.
They're not charging.
No,
She whispered.
they're waiting.
For what?
Before she could answer, a howl split the air. Piercing, cold, commanding. The wolves below parted, and through the center walked Daniel. Amy's breath caught. He wasn't supposed to be free. He wasn't supposed to be leading them. Ryan's voice was ice.
You have to be kidding me.
Daniel stopped just beyond the outer wall, hands raised as if in mock surrender. His voice carried like smoke.
Clara?
He called, using the name that no longer fit her.
Come down, let's talk.
Amy stepped forward, her voice steady.
There's nothing to talk about.
Don't be like that.
He said, flashing that same smile that once charmed high school hallways.
I told you I'd come for you. I just didn't say when.
Ryan growled beside her. Amy ignored them both.
What do you want?
To give you one last chance.
Daniel said.
Return the stone. Denounce your claim as Luna. Come with me willingly. And no one else has to die.
Amy's lips parted into something between a laugh and a snarl.
You think that's going to work?
Daniel tilted his head.
It was worth a shot.
And then, just like that, he dropped his arms. The rogues charged. The first wave hit the outer gates like a thunderstorm. Wood splintered, metal cracked. Wolves leapt over the barricades, howling, claws slashing. Amy shifted instantly, her transformation now fluid, seamless, beautiful, and terrifying. A white wolf burst through the air, landing hard in the center of the field. Ryan shifted beside her, his dark fur streaked with blood before his paws even hit the ground. The battlefield roared. Amy darted between enemies, fast and blinding. She fought with precision, elegance in every strike. Her power flared through her fur, lighting the ground as she moved. One by one, rogues fell. But they kept coming. A second wave from the ridge, a third from the river. They had been surrounded. Richard fought near the southern gate, his coat soaked in red. Patrick was nowhere to be seen. Some said he'd retreated. Others whispered he'd never meant to fight at all. Amy barely had time to think. A rogue lunged for a child. She intercepted, slicing the enemy down mid-air. Another bit into Ryan's leg. She turned, furious, unleashing a burst of energy so hot it seared bark from the trees. Ryan stumbled. His blood stained the earth. Amy howled, the sound ripping through the battlefield, raw, commanding, devastating. Her power spiked, and the earth trembled. The rogues began to falter. She didn't stop. She was done defending. She was done playing their game. Amy shifted back to human mid-stride, her eyes glowing, her hands sparking with light. She raised her arms, power circling around her in white waves. "Enough!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the trees. The wolves stilled, even Daniel. Her voice dropped, lethal and calm.
I gave you a chance. I offered peace. You answered with blood.
She stepped forward, each footstep making the ground quake.
You wanted to see what I am?
She opened her hands. The light surged.
You're about to.
Later, when the smoke cleared, when the last rogue limped into the shadows, broken and retreating, Amy stood alone at the center of the battlefield. Her hands were scorched, her breath ragged, but she was standing. Ryan limped toward her, bruised, bloodied, but alive. He wrapped his arms around her.
You did it,
he whispered.
No,
she said.
we did.
She looked out at the field. at the wolves who had stayed, who had bled beside her. And in that moment, she didn't just feel like their Luna, she was. But in the dark, far beyond the trees, a new figure watched the battlefield from the cliffs. Cloaked in black, eyes burning red.
She's strong.
He murmured.
Stronger than the others.
Another voice whispered beside him, soft and serpentine.
Should we wait?
The figure smiled.
No, let her celebrate.
He turned.
She won the first strike, but she'll never survive the last.
The aftermath of battle always brought silence, the kind that didn't soothe, the kind that pressed heavy on the lungs, the kind that left space for the dead to be counted. Amy stood at the edge of the courtyard, arms crossed, her body sore and soul frayed. The scent of blood lingered in the air, even after the bodies had been cleared. Some of it was hers, some of it Ryan's. Most of it belonged to wolves who'd fought beside her and would never rise again. She watched the healers move through the wounded. Ryan sat against the stone wall, shirt torn, bruised and bandaged, but smiling every time her eyes met his. But there was no time to rest, because the true war, the one without claws and fangs, was still coming, and it had already begun. That night, the council met. The chamber was quiet, tense. Too many seats were empty. Amy stood near the head of the long table, a silver robe draped over her shoulders, her arms rigid at her sides. She hadn't wanted to lead this meeting, but Richard hadn't arrived. And the unease in the room grew louder by the minute. Finally, Patrick stood.
Let's call it what it is,
he said.
The rogues attacked, yes, but only because we've turned leadership over to a girl who isn't ready to lead.
Amy's jaw tightened.
I've led you through every fight. I've bled beside you.
And lost nearly a dozen warriors.
Patrick snapped.
We should be negotiating, not throwing light from the sky.
We did negotiate,
Amy said sharply.
You backed out, or did you forget?
Patrick's smile twisted. Maybe I just realized this pack needs someone who's earned the right to command, not someone who got it because of birthright and spectacle. Amy stepped forward.
If you have something to say it to my face.
The doors burst open. A soldier stumbled in, his face pale, his hands red. Amy turned to him, instinct rising.
What happened?
The soldier swallowed hard.
Alpha Richard,
he said.
He's been attacked.
Amy ran. Through the halls, down the stairs, into the west wing. The guards lay unconscious. The door to her father's study was torn off its hinges. Inside, Richard lay slumped across his desk, a blade buried deep in his side, blood pooling beneath him. Amy fell to her knees beside him.
No, stay with me, Sire.
He opened his eyes, barely.
You were right.
He whispered.
There's a traitor on the council.
Amy's breath caught.
Who?
Richard winced.
I don't know, but someone opened the gates. Let them in.
The healers pushed in behind her. Ryan appeared next, panting, wild-eyed, and blood-spattered again. He moved beside her, hands on her shoulders, grounding her. But Amy's mind was spinning. Someone inside had done this. This wasn't a rogue attack, and this was political. Personal, calculated. See. Later, in the great hall, Amy stood alone beneath the full moonlight that poured through the broken window. Everything inside her ached. She'd lost warriors. Now her father might die. The council was fracturing, the rogues were regrouping, and trust was bleeding out faster than any wound. Ryan entered quietly behind her.
They've stabilized him,
he said.
He'll survive. For now.
Amy nodded once, but her eyes didn't move from the window. Ryan approached her slowly.
You don't have to do this alone.
I do,
she whispered.
Because if I don't stand now, everything we've built dies.
You're not your father.
He said softly.
No,
Amy said.
I'm something worse.
Ryan stepped closer, brushing his fingers down her arm.
You're something stronger.
She looked at him then, eyes rimmed red, but steady.
I love you,
she said.
but I need you to understand something. If it comes down to choosing between you and the pack, I have to choose them.
Ryan didn't flinch.
I know,
he said. Amy stepped forward, pressing her forehead to his.
Don't make me, please.
He nodded slowly.
Then let's make sure it never comes to that.
In the shadows of the council chamber, Patrick watched the flames flicker across the stone. He was not alone. A man stepped out from the far corner, hooded, sharp-eyed, with silver daggers tucked into his coat.
You failed,
the man said.
I wounded him.
Patrick hissed.
That was the point. Destabilize her. Break her down from within.
The man's smile was thin and humorless.
You underestimated her?
Patrick scoffed.
She's just a girl.
No,
the stranger said.
She's a Luna, with the blood of royalty, the mark of prophecy, and a pack behind her. That makes her dangerous.
He turned toward the window.
And when the moon turns red, she'll either rise fully, or she'll burn.
The night before battle always feels like morning. Even the stars seem to hold their breath. Amy stood at the edge of the northern cliff, overlooking the river valley where the enemy had gathered. Dozens of rogue wolves, trained, prepared, united by fear and hunger. They were coming at dawn, this time not to test her, but to end her. Behind her, the war camp buzzed in low murmurs. Her pack, those who had stayed, were readying weapons, shifting into their half-forms, memorizing positions and signals. No one smiled. No one laughed. Because this was no longer a battle for territory. It was for survival and for her. Ryan found her in the dark. He stood silently beside her, letting the wind curl around them.
Still think I'm not ready?
She asked, her voice quieter than the breeze.
I think,
he said,
that you were born for this, even if no one saw it coming.
Amy turned to him, eyes fierce and unblinking.
They came after us from the outside. Now they're breaking us from within. I need to know who the traitor is before I lead them into war.
Ryan's jaw flexed.
Then it's time we shine a light into the shadows.
The council was summoned under full moonlight. Amy entered the hall wearing silver-plated armor, sleek, sharp, glinting like starlight across her shoulders. A thin blade sat at her hip, and her power simmered just beneath her skin, humming in anticipation. She stood at the head of the table, her voice calm, clear.
I've called this council to deliver a message, but not to our enemies, to the traitors sitting in this room.
Gasps, whispers. Tension rippled through the air like lightning.
Someone opened the gates the night of my father's attack,
she continued.
Someone allowed rogues to infiltrate our home, and I've discovered who.
The elders shifted. Patrick scoffed.
Another dramatic accusation?
He said.
This is beneath you, Luna.
Amy tilted her head.
Is it?
She stepped forward slowly.
I found something strange in the surveillance chamber. Tapes that were erased, security feeds corrupted, but one survived.
She held up a small device, pressed play. The screen behind her lit up, grainy footage of the night Richard was attacked, a cloaked figure entering the west wing, moving too easily, too confidently. The cloak dropped. Patrick. Gasps broke like thunder. He stood now, defiant but pale.
This proves nothing.
Ryan was already beside him, blade drawn. Amy didn't flinch.
You opened the gates. You let them in. You thought, if my father died, the council would turn to you.
Patrick sneered.
I tried to stop you from destroying us. You think your light makes you righteous? You think love makes you strong?
And it belonged to her. Elder Mira gasped.
That's ancestral projection. That gift was lost generations ago.
Amy turned to her.
Not lost, just waiting.
Patrick lunged, one last desperate attempt. Amy raised both hands. Light exploded around her, engulfing him in a swirl of force that lifted him into the air. He screamed, and then dropped, unconscious. Amy turned to the council.
I am Luna, not because I inherited the title, but because I earned it. If you follow me now, it will not be to survive. It will be to take our place as more than wolves, as a future.
One by one, they knelt, every single one, even Mira. Even those who had doubted her, even the warriors waiting outside the chamber who'd felt the surge of power through the stone. Amy didn't smile. She just breathed. Because for the first time in her life, the pack breathed with her. Later that night, she stood with Ryan in the war tent. The map of the valley spread before them, their final assault plan etched in symbols and wax lines. Ryan placed a hand over hers.
You unlocked something tonight? Something even the rogues don't understand.
Amy met his eyes.
I don't want to be worshipped. I want to be believed in. And if they follow me, it has to be with open eyes.
He smiled, tired but proud.
You've already given them that.
She leaned in, kissed him softly.
Then let's finish this.
Far across the ridge, in the deep forest, the rogue general stood at the head of his army. He felt the shift in the air, the ripple of power that had echoed through every tree, every rock.
She's rising,
he said. The second in command frowned.
Should we retreat?
The general smiled.
No, let her rise.
His eyes burned red.
The higher she climbs, the farther she'll fall.
The valley lay still under the gray light of dawn. A mist clung to the earth like breath held too long. Amy stood at the edge of the battlefield, armor strapped tight to her frame, her hands curled into fists at her sides. The trees ahead looked quiet, too quiet. But they weren't empty. They were watching, waiting. And so was she. Behind her, the pack assembled. Wolves in formation, armor glinting. Some were barely old enough to fight. Some had scars older than Amy herself. But all of them stood ready. Because this was it. No more messages. No more second chances. This was the end. Hell, Ryan came to stand beside her.
You know,
He said softly.
this would be a perfect moment for one of your rousing speeches.
Amy glanced at him.
I didn't write one.
Good.
He smirked.
They just tune it out anyway. Everyone's too scared to think straight.
Amy took a breath. Then let's give them something to believe in. And she howled, loud, fierce, unbroken. A sound that cut through the trees, shook the valley floor, and stirred something primal in every soul who heard it. One by one, her pack howled back. A chorus, a promise. We're still here. We still fight. We don't fall. The enemy arrived like a tide. The rogues poured from the woods, hundreds. Wolves of every size, some wearing black armor, some fully shifted, their eyes gleaming red. At the center, the general, tall, cloaked in obsidian fur. His eyes glowed like coals as he moved through the line. He didn't shout. He didn't growl. He simply nodded. And they charged. So did she. The field became chaos. Fangs flashed, claws slashed, arrows flew. Amy moved like lightning, her white wolf form glowing, a streak of moonlit fire across the dirt. She took down 3 rogues in seconds, then spun to face the next. Her pack held the line. Ryan fought close, always near enough to shield her, but never in the way. The two moved like a rhythm, an old dance carved into bone and breath. The rogues pushed harder. The general joined the fight. He was massive, snarling, rage in motion. He spotted Amy across the field and began to move toward her, each step cracking the ground beneath him. She shifted back to human mid-run, power flaring from her chest.
Come on, then,
she whispered. They clashed. His claws met her light. Blow after blow, he was stronger, older, trained for war, but she was something else. She was chosen. He struck her across the ribs, sending her flying. Ryan lunged to catch her mid-air, breaking her fall. Amy coughed, blood on her lips.
Still breathing,
she said. Ryan helped her up.
Good, because I'm not carrying you out of this.
Wasn't asking you to,
she whispered. The general charged again. Amy stood her ground. As he leapt, Amy raised both hands and opened herself to the moon. White light exploded from her core, blinding, burning, wild. The general screamed as it hit him mid-air. The blast lifted him, seared through him, and dropped him in a heap. Still. Smoke curled from his chest. Amy stumbled. Ryan caught her again.
You did it,
he said. She looked out across the field. The rogues were scattering, retreating, broken.
We did it?
She breathed, and then she collapsed. She woke days later, wrapped in bandages, in her old room. The scent of lavender and firewood filled the air. Ryan was asleep beside her chair, head tilted back, mouth slightly open. Amy smiled.
You drool,
she rasped. His eyes shot open. He blinked, then laughed.
You lived?
I promised.
He leaned in and kissed her, gently, reverently, like he'd never stop. She let herself melt into it, let herself believe for the first time that peace might be real. Outside, the estate rebuilt. The council was no longer fractured. Patrick was gone. The traitors exiled. And Amy was no longer doubted. She didn't need the title anymore. But she wore it proudly. Luna. Chosen not by legacy, but by love, by loss, by fight, by every wolf who had howled with her. At the next full moon, the entire pack gathered in the forest clearing. No armor, no swords, just them. Together. Amy stood in the center, wearing white. Ryan beside her, hand in hers. They howled, one final time, not in war, but in triumph, in unity, in love. And that night, under the stars, Amy whispered to him,
We survived the dark.
Ryan kissed her palm.
Because you became the light.